Good evening, folks. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The date is May 4th, 2016, and we are meeting in the Nathaniel B. Green Community Center, 32 Church Street, Guilford, Connecticut. Normally we read this long list of things, how things operate, and we have so little on the agenda tonight. We have a couple public hearings, so I'm going to abbreviate some of this and just say that there is room for public comment, and also that any decision this commission makes is appealable by an applicant. If they don't like our decision, they can appeal it to Superior Court in Connecticut. And with that, I'm going to have Richard Wallace read the legal notice.
Legal notice is hereby given that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on May 4th, 2016 at 7:30 p.m. at the Nathaniel B. Community Center, 32 Church Street, Guilford, Connecticut, the Montuck Room, second floor, for the following purposes. Amend Article 27, Open Space Subdivisions of the Zoning Code, Sections 273-109. This is a recommendation from the Planning Committee. Edwin Benton, 413 Vineyard Point Road, Map 4, Lot 45, Zone R5, special permit for accessory apartment in dwelling, in basement of dwelling, Section 273-19. Copies of these applications are available for inspection in the office of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Town Hall South, 50 Boston Street, Guilford, Connecticut. At this hearing, persons may attend and be heard, and written communication will be received. Dated this 13th day of April, 2016, Thomas Koss, Chairman.
Thank you. For the purposes of the meeting tonight, there are 7 members here. All are seated for the hearing. Absent are Phil Johnson and Walt Corbiere. Staff tonight is George Kroll, Reggie Reed, Lisa Brewer, and Shannon Gale is running the camera. Okay, first item.
Frank's not here either. Frank DeAndrea's out.
Frank DeAndrea's too, I'm sorry. Frank is out. I'm going to read this. This is an amend Article 27, Open Space Subdivisions of the Zoning Code, pertinent 273-109. This is a recommendation of our Planning Committee, and it's the first of 2 public hearings. And George is going to present.
Thank you. I don't think any of you have ever actually seen an open space subdivision application. Maybe Ray's been on the commission long enough to have seen one, and maybe Tom way back in the old days. But I'm going to talk about some amendments that are proposed by the Planning Committee to the section of the zoning code that authorizes open space subdivisions and creates the criteria for managing and regulating open space subdivisions. This is an existing regulation, Article 27, called Open Space Subdivisions. You have in front of you a copy of the proposed amendments, the actual full text of the Open Space Subdivision Regulation as it would be amended, and the amendments are highlighted in yellow marker. The proposed amendments to the current code are highlighted in yellow marker, so I'm going to go over those. As the legal notice mentioned, these amendments were developed by the Planning Committee over a fairly lengthy period of time, and they were approved about a year ago, I believe, for consideration by the Commission. And these proposed amendments have been pending, waiting for an opportune time to present them to you when you didn't have too much else on your agenda. That appeared to be the case now. That's why this is before you. An open space subdivision, just in case those of you might not be familiar at all with the idea of an open space subdivision, it's an alternative to the conventional subdivision, which is established by the zoning code and by the subdivision regulations. It's an alternative that can be authorized by the Commission by special permit, and it essentially allows for a reduction in lot size from the conventional zoning in order to permit and encourage the creation of subdivisions with substantial amounts of open space. In the past, when we had a lot of subdivision activity, quite a few subdivisions that were, especially in the large lot zones, the R8 zone in particular, were proposed to be developed this way. The subdivision development all up along Clapper Hill Road and Podunk Road, and up in that area, the Goss property and the Orchid property, all of those lots were created pursuant to an open space subdivision concept. The resulting properties ended up with substantial amounts of open space, which were, in the case of those properties, for the most part, granted to the Guilford Land Trust. Substantial meaning like 50% or more of the total parcel size tended to be set aside as open space. We haven't had any subdivision development like that in recent years, but hopefully if and when subdivision developments do occur, especially on larger parcels, developers will consider the option of the open space subdivision. Sometimes these subdivisions are referred to as conservation subdivisions. Sometimes they refer to this methodology of subdivision of land is sometimes called clustering, various terminology, all meaning basically the same thing. The proposed amendments, as I mentioned, are highlighted in yellow on this particular piece of paper, the text that you have in front of you. The purpose section of the code is proposed to be expanded to describe in more detail the purpose of an open space subdivision. The language that you see bullet pointed there is all new language in the text, and those bullet points describe the objectives and purposes of the open space subdivision regulation. The next section, applicability. Under the existing regulation, open space subdivisions are allowed in R5, R6, R7, and R8 zones. However, there's no minimum site size that is in the current code. In this proposed amendment, you must have land of at least 5 acres or more in order to be eligible to apply for an open space subdivision.
What was the rationale for putting that requirement? I'm just wondering, like in the R5 zone, how many lots do we have left that are 5 acres or?
Yeah, well, in the R8 zone, which would be, that wouldn't be too relevant there. On the R5 zone, you have the 1 acre minimum lot size. The committee, I think, felt that parcels that were less than 5 acres in size were not likely to result in any significant open space, even if there was 50% or more of the land area set aside, so therefore it wasn't likely to be desirable to have that 5 acre minimum site size. That was the rationale.
How come the 5 acres, not 6 or 4 or 7? Is this
I don't think there's, I think a lot of this was based on one of our planning committee members' experience with other towns. Shelley Green did a lot of research pursuant to this. And it could be that the 5 acre number came from somebody else's regulation. I can't really answer the question in any more detail than that.
So if I'm in R5 and but my house is on a 5 acre piece, they could still ask to put another house on that property, but not under this particular code.
Yeah, this doesn't have anything to do with what rights you have to subdivide.
Right.
It's a more conventional subdivision. You might be able to get more than 1 acre, more than another lot on a 5 acre parcel, depending on the circumstances. Sure. All this does is say that if you don't have 5 acres, you can't apply for the special permit for an open space subdivision.
So in no way is this a taking of anybody's rights?
No, this is entirely an optional procedure that's available to the property owner or the developer. And again, it has to be approved by the commission as a special permit.
I'm just wondering, is it going to force people to go with the more dense, in an unintended consequence of forcing them to go with the traditional rules as opposed to doing an open space subdivision on the smaller parcels?
Well, it wouldn't give you the option of going to the open space.
Right.
We've never really had an open space subdivision on a small parcel like that in our history. So it's a pretty hypothetical type question. the whole purpose of this regulation is to encourage property owners and developers to do open space subdivisions in preference to conventional ones in most cases.
And that's why I'm wondering why putting a limitation on that, are we,
I don't think the practical effect of eliminating the minimum site size is going to be very meaningful.
I understand that practically it's not meaningful, but is there any benefit to eliminating, to adding
That requirement, well,
requirement? Like what's the
I guess
benefit?
I can't answer.
well, let me ask you this, would it be, since we have to go out for another hearing on this anyways, would it be possible to have someone from the planning committee maybe?
I can try to address that
Yeah,
question more fully.
Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe there's a good reason for it, right?
The next set of changes are under procedure. The committee felt that it would be desirable to increase the information that's required or beef up the information that's required as part of an open space subdivision. In particular, by referencing aerial photos, which were not, the requirement for aerial photography is not in the current regulation. Today, aerial photos are much more readily available. It's not an obstacle for a developer to find an aerial photo on Google or some other means. So the committee felt that it was desirable to add that, and then also to add, you see on the next page, G and H, some additional information that would be required as part of a open space subdivision application. Particularly G, requirement that flood hazard areas, drainage patterns, meadows, agricultural land, tree lines, hedgerows, stone walls and slopes, among other features, be added to the baseline requirement as part of an open space subdivision application. The discussion identified also in that section under design process.
Just this, I mean, again, what was some of the rationale here? Because I'm thinking cost versus benefit. It's going to be more costly to
The
do this.
availability of this information is so much more readily available now than it used to be, and the committee felt that, especially in the case where it was not totally obvious in an open space subdivision was desirable, this other information might be helpful to the commission in deciding whether or not to grant a special permit. And it also would be desirable in terms of reviewing how the subdivision plan is actually prepared to make sure that those features that are identified there are in fact enhanced and or protected. So definitely a cost benefit. I think that clearly the availability of this kind of information now is at a very low cost, so that the benefit can be obtained without a lot of extra work on the part of an applicant.
So what this says, aerial photos, 1 foot equals 400 square feet. It's very specific about the type of aerial photo. Does Google satisfy that?
It can be, those maps can be blown up or reduced to any scale that you want to. Yes. The design process is described there.
George, I have a question. Age easements, which isn't on our current regs.
Yeah, I think that was really an omission. Just about any subdivision plan is going to include easements. I think it's typically a part of any kind of subdivision application. So referencing it here was perhaps a redundancy.
Okay.
The design process is described there. It talks about meeting with town staff, working with town staff, the Wetlands Commission, Conservation Commission, etc., to actually develop the open space plan.
Is this all voluntary in
Yes.
the design process? Okay. So everything there is voluntary?
Encouraged.
Encouraged.
Relevant language in the
Okay.
first sentence is encouraged, yes. And our experience has been applicants want to meet with town staff to find out, what they're up against, what we at least think the commissions are looking for, what will result in a better plan as opposed to a less desirable plan. The public hearing notification requirements, criteria for approval have not changed from the existing to the proposed, nor has the method for determining the maximum number of lots. If you want to, I can go through what that means, but since it's not a proposed change from the current regulations, I didn't think it was really necessary. Maximum number of lots can be determined basically either by developing a standard plan and seeing how many lots you'll get from that, and or using the optional method, the formula, to calculate the maximum number of lots. But again, there's no proposal to change that. The next section which is identified under C, incentives. This is one of the features of the open space subdivision regulations that perhaps most interesting. The regulation allows for additional lots above and beyond either the arithmetic or the standard plan if the applicant, property owner, developer provides benefits to the town and if approved by the commission. Right now, there are 3 such bonuses or incentives. The first one is the affordable housing provision, which you can see under C, parentheses 1. There's no proposal to change that. The second incentive is if the project proposes what are identified as small houses. Under the current regulation, a small house is defined by a house that has, just a minute, check that, 1,200 square feet or less. The committee deliberated quite a bit on this particular subject, and particularly based on the advice of the architects, felt that 1,200 square feet was a little bit too small and recommended a new standard, so-called small house, of 2,000 square feet or less, so that the bonus of lots would only obtain if and when the applicant proposed a house that was 2,000 square feet or less. There is a third incentive under the current regulations, which offers bonus lots for houses which are certified as green or certified as LEED, which I think many of us have heard of. Essentially, energy conservation houses or green design standards. The committee felt that that was no longer necessary to provide incentives, since many of those requirements are incorporated either in the building code or the market has changed so significantly that homeowners demand those standards be met anyway, and it was not desirable or necessary to offer any bonus. So that bonus or incentive provision is proposed to be eliminated. However, a new incentive is proposed to be added, and that is the one that's highlighted in yellow, provision of open space. Building on the concept of the open space subdivision, it's the fact that the basic purpose of it is to encourage open space. What this does is offer lot bonuses when open space above and beyond what the minimum requirement is proposed in the subdivision. So the reasoning for that is, again, to encourage the creation or the provision of even more open space.
George, are they stackable? Like, if they achieve...
That's what that next paragraph tries to clarify, the extent to which they're stackable. This is not a proposed change from the current regulation. That language was written extremely carefully by legal counsel at the time we created the original provision to make it clear that you couldn't just add one on top of the other. If you read through it, is it clear to you what it means?
Right, it's law of diminishing return. The more you stack, the less benefit you get from each one.
Let me say, one of the things about this open space subdivision regulation, that is part of the reason why the changes that are proposed took so long to kind of work their way through the process, is that we've never had an open space subdivision proposed under this set of regulations. So we've never had an open space subdivision that had any of these incentives. We've never had an open space subdivision proposed pursuant to the special permit requirement. All of this came about a number of years ago based on a number of recommendations, town council and otherwise. So we don't have a lot of experience in actually administering how this might work. We're hoping that someday somebody will actually propose one, and we can kind of work with it and see what is best and what works and what doesn't work, but we really haven't had that experience.
George, where'd the 10%? Is that, additional increment? Is that
Just seemed like a logical number. I don't think there's beginning. There may be some other town that has a 10%. I can't recall. The next section, open space subdivision, A, open space. This specifies what the minimum amount of open space is that's required to be eligible for an open space subdivision. So, and it varies by zone. The current regulation requires a 20% open space provision in the R5 regulation. The committee, after a lot of deliberation and discussion, has recommended a 30% minimum open space requirement. What that means is that if you propose an open space subdivision in the R5 zone, it has to have at least 30% of the total parcel size set aside as open space. Going back then to that bonus, if you propose more than that, 10% more, then you're eligible for one more lot, and so on and so forth. The other minimum requirements, 30, 40, and 50, that's not proposed to be changed from the current regulation. The standard, maybe I'm anticipating a question, Connecticut law allows, and we require as part of any subdivision, at least 10%. So if you propose a so-called conventional subdivision, the commission can require at least 10% of the land you set aside as open space. Yes.
My question is this about that. Under the old regs, the bonus was specific to these houses.
Right.
And now we're changing that, and we're saying that we'll add additional 10%. I'm not sure the fairness, I'm not sure that I understand the fairness, because there's a big difference between 10% on an R5 lot and 10% more on an R8 lot. It's because on an R8 lot, you're saying 10%, you're taking another, if it was 100 acres, you'd be taking, 10 acres additional out of it before you could even, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, this isn't something that this isn't a decision that the commission would make. This would be something that the applicant would propose. The applicant would propose, in the case of the R8,
Yep.
He would say, okay, I'm meeting your threshold of 50%, but I'm really going to give you 10% more, but in exchange, you're going to give me, one more lot, or however the arithmetic works out. So it's not something you're imposing. It's something that the applicant is choosing to do based on their calculation that it's worth it to. Right.
I mean, what we're trying to do is encourage them to do this.
Encourage you to do more.
I think.
Do more open space rather than less.
I think basically what I'm saying is that I don't see why there's a difference in the percentages between any of the zones, just because one zone is smaller or larger than another.
Oh, you mean the
In
minimum?
fairness, it should be the same.
You're talking about the minimum open space requirement? Should be.
Yes, you're starting off by taking 50%, if it's over basically over 4 acres, right? Because R8 is 4 acres?
That's the minimum. The minimum lot size is 4 acres.
Okay, so anything over that, you're going to take 50%. So let's say it's a 10-acre lot. You're going to take 50% of that away right away.
Well, we're only doing that if the applicant wants to do that. We're not, the most that we can require is 10%. We're only considering we'd only consider an open space subdivision in the R8 zone when somebody wants to do that rather than the regular
Yeah.
subdivision. And the way it typically worked in the R8 under the old regime, which actually worked very well, there are a lot of other benefits to an open space subdivision, especially in the large lot zones where you have less road to build because the lots are going to be smaller, they have less frontage, so the development costs are less. The developers and the markets kind of made the calculation that in the R8 zone, the difference in value between a 4-acre lot and a 2-acre lot was minimal. So you could propose a subdivision of 20 lots, make it an open space subdivision. You get 20 R8 lots of 4 acres, or you get 20 lots of 2 acres. But with the 2-acre lots, they're worth the same thing as a 4-acre lot. Plus, you get a lot less in the way of development costs because you don't have to spread the roads out over the entire parcel. And the town wins by virtue of the fact that 50% of the total parcel size is set aside as open space. But that we only do that, we only accept that when the open space is in fact something that's desirable. It's not like we have to accept the open space subdivision. That's why it's a special permit. So it's only the case that the developer proposes an open space subdivision and the commission agrees that the open space subdivision is desirable. If the open space proposed is land that the commission decides isn't desirable as setting aside open space, or we don't really need it or want it, then you don't approve the open space subdivision, and the applicant has the right to develop their property in accordance with the regular subdivision. Normally what would happen in the old days is that the land trust would typically be the recipient agency, sometimes the town, Conservation Commission, or Park and Rec, but only after those agencies have reviewed the plans and said, yes, we like that open space, we want it, would the commission approve an open space subdivision. And they'd be looking at things like how desirable is the land, is it all wetlands versus is there some wetland, is there some upland land there that's desirable, is it a good place for trails, does it connect to some other open space land so that we can build more contiguous open space. That's in fact what's happened over on the east side with Goss and Orchid and connecting to timberlands so that town-owned parcels and open space as part of a subdivision and other town-owned parcels have all been interconnected to create a large system of contiguous open space where you have trails and wildlife corridors and all those other good things that go with open space. I don't know if that answers your question.
Did any developers look at this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And they signed off on this as well?
Yes.
Okay.
We went through that carefully. We worked with the idea of it very closely with developers. Again, the only change in the minimum open space requirement was to increase the minimum for the R5. The R5 is, to get off too much of a tangent, but the the planning committee really wanted to encourage more open space subdivisions in the R5 zone. We haven't really had any. The R5 has a 1-acre minimum lot size. The open space subdivisions have mostly been in the large lot zones, whereas, as I mentioned, the perception of the market is that a 4-acre lot and a 2-acre lot are about worth the same thing. There's a big difference, however, between a 1-acre lot and a 2-acre lot and a 1/2-acre lot. If you're doing an R5 subdivision, you might reduce the lot size down to a 1/2 acre. There's a big difference, perception-wise at least, in the value between a 1-acre lot and a 1/2 acre lot, especially in the more kind of suburban type setting where property owners and buyers tended to want to have a little bit larger lots so they could have, the amenities that go with a slightly larger lot as opposed to a 1/2 acre lot, which is kind of like what you have around the center of town here. So the planning committee really wanted to see if we could encourage open space subdivisions in the R5 zone. There's not a lot of undeveloped land in the R5 zone, but maybe there's enough somewhere for somebody to want to do that. The last section that's proposed to be changed here is just really a reference to another section of the regulations. This describes how you dispose of open space, and dispose isn't really the right word for it. What you do with the open space once it's created. The subdivision code describes a whole lot of different things that can happen to open space. It can be set aside, given to the town, land trust. It can be in the form of an easement or deed restriction. All of that is discussed in the subdivision code, so this proposal just makes reference to that.
George, was there an issue about the managing agents there? Remember we had one applicant who wanted to do us a lot of that for some use of his lot.
Right.
And there was an issue where the Conservation Commission didn't want to take on a responsibility.
And I don't know what responsibility or cost would be associated with getting free land. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's I was alluding to that before. When you consider one of the sections here under procedure and also the section under design, that's really an important part of all this, in that we want the agencies that have responsibility for managing the land, if there is going to be open space, to actually weigh in on and commit to the responsibility associated with that. So the open space subdivision, when it's received by the commission, is referred for comment to the Wetlands Commission, to the Conservation Commission, to the Land Trust, to any organization. It could be the Boy Scouts or somebody else that may have an interest in a particular piece of land. And they would then have the opportunity to then say to you and to the applicant, yeah, we like this, but we want to have this little piece attached to it, or we don't like it altogether. We don't think there's any merit or desire on part of any town agency for open space. Sometimes the open space might be suitable for like some kind of active recreation development, ball fields or whatever. So we'd like the Park and Rec Commission to say, yes, we really like that. We want to take it. We want to take it over and manage it. So that would be part of the review process for an open space. Just like we did in the case you're referring to, I think it was the Conservation Commission, as you said, they didn't see the merit for it. So therefore we said no, we didn't want to encourage an open space subdivision there.
So potentially, if we say yes, or no, before we say yes, let's say someone has 10 acres and they want to get however many lots, and they do. And so then something gets committed to being open space, and the town Park and Rec wants it. So that open space could become athletic fields or something else. Would we have control over that, or would we just say it goes to Park and Rec and they would have control over that?
Well, you can put whatever controls on it you want. It's a special permit, so you can put whatever limitations you want. Presumably, that would all be kind of worked out in advance, what the Park and Rec Commission actually wants to do, and that'd be part of the consideration. If you were absolutely certain that it shouldn't ever be used for anything other than preservation as, in its natural condition, that could be a condition of approval. That would be more likely the kind of thing you would do rather than saying it has to be used for a ball field. But I guess it could be a condition of approval that in fact it has to be developed as a ball field.
So is this potentially controversial? And the only reason I ask that is with the Dudley Preserve, it was going to be used as athletic fields, and then some conservation group didn't want it to be, and it got to be a battle. Would this potentially be a battleground for agencies?
Yeah, you mean where they're fighting over who's going to get it?
Well, in the case that I remember, they were fighting over who didn't have to take it. Like, no one wanted to be responsible for it, but I see that potentially down the road, let's say Park and Rec decides that they'd like it, so we say, okay, fine, and then they put some ball fields there, then we're the bad guys again. So that's
So this
potential.
fall public hearing, so everybody has a chance to weigh in on all the merits and pluses and minuses, and eventually the commission would have to make a decision of the pluses outweigh the minuses.
So as part of the process, then,
Yes.
if we were going to give it to Park and Rec, we would have to get them to say it's going to be a ball field, and we'd have to put that in a public hearing, and they'd have to have that.
Absolutely. That would be all part of the consideration.
Good.
Any other questions from the commission members?
I'll just maybe Shelley or Russ be here by next for the second portion of this hearing.
Thanks, George.
Are there any questions from the audience on this at this point?
George, very simply, how would this be different than, say, a PRD or the LID requirements? Is it basically just conditions are a bit different, but same idea, or is it more complicated than that?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. The PRD is another zoning vehicle. It's very similar to this, and potentially very similar. The one difference is that this only authorizes the creation of lots, and there's only one dwelling unit per lot allowed. A PRD can be, the physical form of the housing can take a variety of shapes. It could be townhouses, it could be, a multi-story building, it could be single-family homes with zero lot lines. Any of those combinations are possible in a PRD. The only thing possible under this procedure is the subdivision of land into lots, and then only one house per lot is allowed. So that's the big difference.
Okay, and my second question, and this may be something, Ray, we both serve on land acquisition, would that also be, would you want to put it in the regs to have their input as well, potentially? That's it.
Yeah. Usually land acquisition is looking for the entire parcel. This would just be sort of dedication of open space that's supposed to stay open space. But it might not be a bad idea to have it reviewed by land acquisition as well, as part of those recommended agencies that should take a look at it.
Right.
So you might want to add that into the regulation.
Okay. Is there anybody in the public that would like to make a comment of pro or yes or no on this proposed?
Can I just ask for a clarification? I think it's probably just because I don't understand. But why would a developer ask for the open land subdivision if it's going to give them less lots?
George?
It wouldn't.
I guess I don't
It's designed to never give them less lots. In some cases, it'll actually give them more. It won't, no developer would propose it.
Right.
It is at the option of the developer. If they didn't think it was more desirable for
Advantageous.
them, they wouldn't
Okay.
propose it in the first place. So this is not something that the commission can require. It comes about if the property owner / developer actually proposes an open
Okay.
space subdivision. And there isn't any reason why it would result in less lots. Sometimes it might be the same number of lots, but it presumably wouldn't propose it if it resulted in less.
But if they gave a certain percentage more as open land, that they could maybe make another lot, that
Right.
10%.
And they make
that's
the
where-
lots that they have.
Smaller?
Smaller, correct.
Okay.
That's how the arithmetic works.
Okay.
Excuse me, can I get your name and address on?
It's Deborah O'Neill, and I live off of Moose Lane.
Okay, thanks.
And I'm sorry, I don't understand why, maybe you can, Mr. Meyer asked you, why would, say, the Guilford Land Conservation Group not just want a piece of property? I have some property behind my house that's wetlands, and they sent me a letter to say, oh, we own some property back there, but, just kind of watch it for us. Nobody walks back there or anything. What would be the reason that some organization would not want the property without having to develop it? I mean, if it's just a wetlands,
Well, they have,
I'm a little...
the Land Act, the Land Trust, I mean, they perceive that the land has a cost associated with maintaining it. And that, so therefore, if the property, and I'm just speaking for them, but if the property doesn't have any benefit to them, it's not something that they feel is part of their mission, either in providing trails or protecting something special.
Oh, okay.
Then it's just a liability to them, and especially if it's
Right.
a small piece.
Okay.
People, maybe not that you would do this, but neighbors, would put their brush and everything on their property,
Okay.
and then they would have to say, we want you to remove the brush from
All
our
right.
property, and those things are a cost
So
to them.
that's be like the cost of maintenance would have to
Right.
keep their eye on it, even if it, okay,
Right.
all right, I understand, thank you.
Yes.
This doesn't have a date for the next meeting, George.
That would be, you could continue this to any meeting you want, but I would suggest your next meeting. Recommend.
Any other comments at this point?
I'll make a motion that we continue this to the May 18th meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Benton is not here this evening, so that's to continue that hearing to the 18th also.
And I'll make a motion that we continue the Edward Benton application to May 18th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, that concludes the public hearing portion of the meeting. Yes. I move we close the public hearing.
So moved.
Someone do it.
Move to close this public hearing.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Approval of revised agenda. So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
There is no deliberation on public hearing items. Okay, so we'll move on to site plan portion. The first on the docket is Walmart 900 Boston Post Road, map 47, lot 22B, zone SC, site plan revision, 1,875 square feet of display area for plants and bag goods, March 1st through October 31st on the sidewalk in front of the store. Pertinent regs are at 273-73.
Good evening. My name is Josh Robertson. I took over for Bruce back in October, just as a store manager there. Just basically just looking for a continuance of what we've done in years past. We were looking for another 2-year continuance, just pretty much the same thing that we've done in the past years to utilize the front sidewalk for displaying of the soils, the mulch, and flowers through gardening season, pretty much from the beginning of March through the end of October, and then nothing from the time frame, the fall or winter time frame from October until March of the following winter again.
So there's no change basically in the area you're using or the type of display that you're using. It's the same as it's been, you're just asking for renewal of the...
Correct.
Okay.
Did this go before ZBA? I thought I heard that this was going to go that way.
No, because she said
The zoning board?
Yeah.
Brian is indicating
last Wednesday night, they approved it last Wednesday night.
Oh, that's because it's technically an expansion of the building or something, the floor area, the sales area.
It puts us over the 60,000 square foot, so it had to go through the zoning board as well.
So my question then is, did they also approve that for 2 years?
Correct.
What do you mean by bagged goods?
What was that?
Bagged goods, what do you mean by that?
The bagged mulch, the bagged soils, like the 40-pound bags of mulch and
Now,
so
will that impede the pedestrian traffic, say, women with their baby carriages, or
it still leaves...
you're taking some space off the sidewalk, right?
What was that?
You're taking a piece of the sidewalk off where people ordinarily would be walking.
I don't know what the exact, I don't remember offhand what the exact footage is from the wall to the parking lot area, but the sidewalk footage is roughly, offhand, I would say about 10, 15 feet from the wall to out to the parking lot.
Okay.
By ADA, you only need 4 feet.
What is it?
By American disabilities, they only need 4 feet width.
So yeah, it becoming approximately, I believe it's about 4 feet off of the wall, so there still would be about a 10 foot, to 8 to 10 foot width. That would still
Do
be
you do actual purchase and return there?
What was that?
A customer, can he purchase something on the sidewalk, or does he have to go inside?
Would have to go inside.
You have to go inside.
Yeah. But we also have, at the registers, we have what we have displayed outside minus the flowers. But any of the larger bag goods we already have to where you don't have to bring in the items that you're trying to purchase minus the flowers.
Yeah, I was thinking from the safety point of view, that's all.
What was that?
I said, from a safety point of view, if you had a register outside, you'd be blocking people who are trying to get in the store or walking by, waiting to get away while people get to pay for this stuff, so it would be blocking traffic, that's all, pedestrian traffic. So you're not going to do that?
No,
So
we
you have to
we
go
don't
inside.
have the capabilities right now either to use.
Well, I don't want to give you any
Put a
ideas.
register out there.
You're okay.
Doesn't even have the payroll to do it, too.
Yeah, right, well, it requires take space, that's all.
Yeah.
Further questions?
I can make a motion. Sure. Vote that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a site plan revision for Walmart at 900 Boston Post Road, map 47, lot 45, for outside display of merchandise as shown on the application dated April 4th, 2016. This approval will be valid until April 2008, until, say...
2000.
Yeah, but... Yeah, 2018. April 4th, 2018. This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code.
Second.
Anybody have any further discussion about this? Anybody?
I think it's good. I think it's good because they've been doing this for a number of years anyhow, and it just ran out, so it's just extended. It hasn't been a hassle or a problem.
Okay. Let's take a vote. All in favor of this, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, moving on.
Thank you.
2772 BPR Guilford LLC, 272 Boston Post Road, map 83, lot 25, zone TS3, site plan revision for new building with 106-seat restaurant on first floor and 4 one-bedroom apartments on the second floor. For the record, sir, would you identify yourself?
Of course. For the record, Jim Preddy with Criscola Engineering in Branford. As the chairman said, this is 2772 Boston Post Road on the corner of Boston Post Road and Moose Hill Road. It's in the new TS3 zoning district. It was recently adopted. It's about 1.95 acres. There's an existing house that's been empty for a while that I believe that the fire department has used to some degree. Just generally speaking here, that the lot slopes this high on this corner here and slopes down toward this pond that seems to have been man-made at some point in the past, but this was part of the larger parcel where the Mason supply used to be. This, most recently, you may recall, this was part of the propane storage site plan that had come before you not that long ago by other people. So the proposal is to construct a new 48 by 76 two-story building. As you see here in red, here's the old house, just to give you a proximity of relationship to each other. As you said, the second floor is 4 one-bedroom apartments. The first floor is a restaurant. It'll be a new home for the Ayatai restaurant, which currently resides up the street on the other side, about half a mile. The restaurant will have approximately 106 seats. The parking required for the 4 apartments and the restaurant total is 54 spaces, which we have provided here on the plan all around the building. Access from Route 1, we've moved as far north here as we can because there's a sightline issue. On this other side of Moose Hill Road, there's a retaining wall that kind of comes right down to the road. So we've met with DOT out there. This is pretty much the only place they really would accept it because as you go this way, it gets worse. So they've reviewed it and they've approved it at this point for a curb cut location. We have a secondary exit for emergency access onto Moose Hill Road, but it's one way out only on that side. City water and gas are available and are underground from Boston Post Road, which had already served the house and will now serve the new building. We have water and gas coming in the side of the building here. Underground electric from an existing pole. The overhead electric actually crosses the road onto this side and then goes back across and goes across the other side. So We'll grab the electric underground from one of the poles on our side of the street. The septic system, because there are not sewers available here, has been designed to be up here in this corner of the property, farthest away we could get from the wetlands, also where the best soil on the property is. And Dennis Johnson from the Health Department has reviewed it, and we had a little back and forth, and I believe he's happy with this now. So I think he's approved that at this point.
Did you see a letter from him?
No, I spoke to him. He said he was going to send you a letter.
Yeah, do you want to read it now? Now's the time.
That's fine.
All right. This is from Dennis Johnson, it's dated today. So, soil testing conducted on the applicant's lot on April 18, 2016 revealed suitable conditions for construction of a septic system to serve the proposed restaurant and apartment building. An engineer design site and septic system plan dated April 18, 2016 prepared by Criscola Engineering has been approved for construction of the septic system. The building will be served by public water supply. Based upon soil test results and site plan review, it is recommended that applicant's proposed use be approved.
The stormwater system design here pretty much mimics the existing slope. It slopes this way to begin with, so we have the same general concept here. We have a couple of catch basins on this end of the development with the oil water separator into an underground system that will, during the smaller storms, just kind of fill in there, leach into the ground. Larger systems, larger storms will, when it fills up, it goes into a manhole, it drops to dissipate energy, then into a riprap plunge pool, and then out through a smaller basin and a riprap level spreader. Again, this is all energy dissipation techniques. The design review committee has reviewed and approved this. The plan, they've gone over the landscaping very meticulously, and they've approved that at this point. As I said, DOT and Guilford Health Department have approved it, and last month we got inland wetland approval also.
There's a letter here from Kevin.
That I have seen.
Okay. It's from Kevin McGee, dated May 3rd. The applicant has completed the checklist to guide low-impact development-based management practices and is utilizing some of the recommended practices. The stormwater system has been developed utilizing a low-impact design protocol. The stormwater management system consists of catch basins and roof leaders that discharge into a subsurface infiltration system that overflows to an outlet basin. The stormwater system is also designed to attenuate off-site discharge at less than existing levels. The plans for the project have sedimentation and erosion control procedures that are in compliance with 273-97B, subsection 6 of the zoning regulations. The Guilford Inland Wetlands Commission at its April 13, 2016 meeting approved a regulated activity with conditions for construction of a new two-story building for use of a restaurant on the first floor and 4 one-bedroom apartments on the second floor within 100 feet upland jurisdictional review area. The applicant is proposed to install a non-invasive species of bamboo along the front of the building. To make sure that bamboo plants do not spread, they should be planted in concrete planters designed to contain the spreading of the roots. The landscape architect shall provide confirmation that the correct species has been planted. In order to make sure that wetlands are protected, I recommend the following conditions of approval. 1, the temporary sedimentation trap should be constructed prior to any soil disturbance. 2, the Town of Guilford zoning enforcement officer should be notified to inspect the sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to any site construction. 3, to assure future compliance with the stormwater management system in accordance to section 273-75F of the zoning code. A, upon approval of the site application, but prior to the commencement of any work, the applicant shall execute an agreement and file a bond with the Planning and Zoning Commission to guarantee completion and maintenance of the work required by the approved stormwater management plan. B, a written maintenance and operational manual for all stormwater management systems located at the subject site. The manual should provide provisions for yearly inspections, maintenance of the stormwater systems, and yearly reports to the town engineer. The maintenance schedule should include but not be limited to weekly, monthly, and quarterly inspection of the property for litter, monitoring the dumpster and outside storage areas, monitoring the catch basins, monitoring of the catch basins, the removal of accumulated material and non-native invasive species in the outlet basin. The maintenance plan needs to provide a statement that the stormwater management plan will be reviewed annually so that inspection, maintenance requirements may be modified and that any changes to the plan would require approval of the town engineer. C, as an as-built drawing of completed stormwater system prepared in accordance with section 273-75F, stormwater management, subsection 6, construction. And D, the applicant shall file a maintenance covenant on the land records as required by section 273-75F, stormwater management, subsection 7, maintenance covenants of the town of Guilford zoning code. Do you have a problem with any of those conditions?
No, sir.
All right. And the bamboo will not be spreading?
Will not.
All right.
Self-contained plans or something.
Also, with me tonight is architect Joe Seapot, who's going to describe the building a little bit for you, and also I have the owner, Charlie Steinberg, with me in case there's any other questions about the facility.
No, I had a question on the parking. Do you meet all the parking requirements in it?
Yes.
Oh, you did, okay.
Hi, my name is Joe Seapot, Joseph Seapot Architects, Branford, Connecticut. So as Jim mentioned, what we're proposing is a two-story building with a partial basement for storage area. The building is 48 by 76 square feet. The first floor of the building will consist of a restaurant with a dining area, a bar, kitchen, prep area, and then, again, a 20 by 30 square foot storage area for a partial basement. The second floor is 4 one-bedroom apartments, each approximately 750 square feet, with 2 means of egress, and pretty straightforward layout. The building is rectangular in shape, so what we tried to do, part of the Architectural Design Review Board they're looking for a rural kind of feel to the building. So since it's a rectangular building, we broke down the roof line here and kind of gave it a big overhang with brackets on it to kind of give it that rural feel. We're doing a stained shingle siding with asphalt shingle roofs. So this would be the Boston Post Road elevation with our entry to the restaurant. And then as we go around the rear of the building here, again, much simpler. The kitchen is going to be off of the back of the building. And then the 2 side elevations, which will have the egress for the second floor apartments. By having the wide overhangs, it allows people to actually, most of our parking is going to be in behind or to the side of the building. They encouraged us to pull the building as close to the road as possible, so it allows people to walk around the building in a covered area. What we're proposing is double hung windows, traditional windows up on the second floor with picture windows with divided lights on them in the for the lower level for the restaurant. It's pretty much the gist of the building.
Is there any other commercial aspect of the building other than the restaurant?
No.
It seems as though you really did take into consideration the recently approved Transit and Service Zone District 3, and you had a lot of back and forth with design review relating to the new regulations, is that correct?
Yes, a lot about the parking and how that was going to work and the sight lines, yes. And the landscape quite a bit.
Questions? Make a motion then. Vote of the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve the site plan application for 2772 BPR Guilford LLC, 2772 Boston Post Road, as shown on property located at 2772 Boston Post Road, prepared by the School of Engineering LLC, 6 sheets dated March 4th, 2016. Site landscaping plan dated February 12th, 2016, and architectural plans prepared by Joseph P. Seapot, AIA. This application is approved with the following conditions. 1, that prior to the issuance of a building permit, final plans including building and landscaping materials and colors be reviewed by the Design Review Committee. And number 2, that the conditions as stated in the letter dated May 3rd, 2016 from Kevin McGee, the Town Environmental Planner, be incorporated into this approval. This application is approved based upon a finding that conforms to the zoning code of the town of Guilford.
Second.
Comments?
Seems to be well thought out, conforms with all the zoning regulations, is adequate parking, and I think a good use of the property, which is now just sitting there and has been vacant for quite some time.
My thoughts exactly what Tom was getting on that.
And I'm impressed that they have some interest in the new zone that was created already. Yeah.
I think my comment is that I thought the drainage system was well thought out. I think it says it's the best it can to protect the wetlands to the east, I think. So I think that's done well. Any further comments, Rich?
I'm good. I think it'll be a real asset to the community. I can't wait to go there.
All right, let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Rich? In favor? I think it was unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. The next on the agenda is a request from Vera Wolf.
We got to do a couple of receives here. The camp applications.
Coastal. Can I make the motion?
Looks like you got a bad agenda there.
Jesus Christ. Okay, go ahead. Application to be received, Lee Schattler, 155, Schachter, 155 Lower Road, map 16, lot 49-3, zone R5 coastal management area. Upgrade existing septic system within 100 feet of a coastal resource. Pertinent section of the code is 273-91. Stephen set public hearing date for June 1st.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Special permit, Nicholas Varzo, 11 Pulpus Lane, map 122, lot 23-3, zone R8. Special permit for human habitation of yurt. 273-36, receive its public hearing date of June 15th, continued to July 6th for mandatory second public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had my agenda was a little bit too early, I think. Now we're going to do the Vera Wolf. It's a request to display merchandise for 8 days in May. Where is Vera Wolf located?
Boston Street, down by Pages.
Okay. Will not display for more than 2 days at a time.
I think he said it in the beginning.
I didn't catch it.
So, Reggie, you want to make any comment on this?
No, it's in compliance with the regulation.
Okay.
So why does she request from us?
Because the regulation says if they want to have outdoor display of merchandise, they have to ask the
Does there need, do we need to make a motion?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion that Vera Wolf is allowed to display merchandise for 8 days in May, and not more than 2 days at a time. Second. May of 2016. Yes.
Any questions from anybody? Okay. Let's take a vote. All in favor of this, say aye. Aye. Okay. Approval of minutes.
One more.
A request from the Guilford Agricultural Society. Do you see it, Tom?
Go ahead, do it.
Well, I guess there's a request to add a fairground event, Puppy Up, sponsored by Guilford Veterinary Hospital event. This is a morning event to be held on 10/30/16. I think we're just taking these in for a list. We don't need to really approve them, right? Isn't that sort of like...
We sort of have to say yes to
Well, you have to think that it's in concert.
Do we know what Puppy Up is?
I mean, the Guilford Veterinary Hospital is probably in concert with that. Yeah.
Didn't we discuss this before, requiring a certain length of time in advance?
And they're giving it to us.
Is this compliant with that?
Yeah, this is 10 till October. The day before Halloween. So they're going to dress up the puppies.
They can bring all the dogs out? Okay. That's good, that's all. I just want to make sure we clear it up on that.
I can't.
Obviously, something can be do with dogs.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the request from the Guilford Agricultural Society to add the event for the Puppy Up. That is a morning event held on 10/30/16.
Second it. Motion and a second. Should we vote?
Yes. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of this, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of minutes, we finally get to that. The meeting of 4/27/16. Anybody have any comments about the minutes?
I reviewed them, and they appear to be accurate to me.
I just noticed there was one spot, and I went back and looked at it again, that I think it said 1,000, and it didn't say what the 1,000 was. And I forgot to bring them with me, but I'm okay with it. I think it meant 1,000 square feet. Okay. Okay.
Talk about $1,000.
$1,000, 1,000 lawyers.
1,000 feet.
So, okay, everybody that was here that approved the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. What else is there?
Move to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Doing great, huh?
Rich is still holding the record.